Welcome, everybody. I'm Camille Sargi, your host of Just 2 Minutes. And today we're in London. I have Christie here. Christie, you want to tell us about yourself?
I'm Christie Pinnick. I own Knightsbridge International Real Estate here and in the USA.
And I'm super, super excited to hear about the UK and how they do real estate here. But first, we have our Just 2 Minutes questions. And go. What's your favorite candy?
Ooh, Candy Kittens. It's a UK candy.
Wow. I don't know what that is, but I'll have to try it. So there's a lot of controversy, confusion about sports, football, but let's settle it right here. Is it football or is it football?
Soccer here is football.
Yeah, but what's the right term for football in the US?
Soccer. Are you talking the Chiefs? Like American football?
Yeah.
Well, that's football. And then soccer. But here, right. Football is soccer.
Yeah, it's confusing. I'm going to say a word and you tell me the UK version of it. Okay? Mac and cheese?
Mac and cheese, I think.
Target? The store.
Target? Or like Aldi?
Oh, there is a Target here?
No.
Oh.
You mean you want like a...
The UK version.
Maybe Aldi?
Okay. Miami Beach?
Oh, geez. Brighton?
Walmart?
Oh, that'd be Aldi.
Okay. So who's your favorite artist?
As far as...
music.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift? Okay. So if you were to bring 3 things with you to a Taylor Swift concert, what would those 3 things be?
My friend Holly, my friend Vicky, and a bunch of glitter.
Nice. Okay. Going back to football, soccer and football, what do you think is the right... because people argue about it all the time. Like, no, it's not. Football in the US shouldn't be called football because it's...
Well, we have 2 words. I mean, football, American football is American football. Yeah. Soccer is soccer. Over here, you don't have NFL teams. So football can just be soccer here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, they only kick the ball once in the US. And then they're like, you know what? We'll call this football because they kicked the ball once. Right?
And then we have rugby. I mean, over here, rugby's huge. So.
Yeah, that's kind of similar.
Yeah.
Does the ball look the same?
I have no idea.
Nice. So, Christie, I'm super excited to have you. And thank you for interviewing with me. And it's awesome because not only are you real estate broker here, you're also in the US. So it's like we can speak the same language and understand each other. Mm-hmm. So what's the structure of a brokerage here in the UK?
So here it's staff, so paid employees. So you have a lettings negotiator, a sales negotiator, you've got managers, you've got listers, valuers, different roles within the company, but everyone's on salary. And then there's usually a bit of commission. Many brokerages are switching to the American model of independent. So where you're basically a partner agent and you're taking a bulk of your commission. But the traditional estate agencies do the paid employee and then they take a small commission.
Okay. So what's it take? Because the US, you have your broker that owns the brokerage and then there's agents under it. Mm-hmm. So how is that set up here?
So in our case, there's me who's the director, and then we do have someone who manages. And then we've got a sales negotiator, a lettings negotiator, property manager, things like that.
Okay. So the director owns that broker. It's not, is it called brokerage or is it called?
Sure. Or agency.
Agency.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So the director owns the agency and then hires employees, mm-hmm. but sometimes contractors to be agents. Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. What's the licensing look like for a director?
So it's not like the US where we've got to do 150 hours of courses and then take the state test and the national test. Here it's just getting a job. For a director, I mean, you obviously have to register your business, and much like you would in the States. And then, you should have some insurance protections in place and things like that. And then as far as being an agent. It's just applying for a job and, interviewing well and your references check out and there you go.
Wow.
So
interesting.
yeah.
So it's kind of like in the 80s in the US where it was like free for all.
Yeah, but estate agencies are evolving here. So they're starting to come around to the US model, which to me, if you're an agent, you're successful, that's where you would want to be because your commission is going to be significant. So you're going to make a lot more money doing it that way than you would if you're someone's employee and you're maybe taking 10, 20% if you're lucky of a commission home. I mean, it makes more sense to take 70, 80, depending on where you work. Well, as we do in the US, you control your own hours, your own destiny, basically. You want to make $1 million? Sure. You want to make 30? Sure. So that's probably the biggest difference right now. So, and I think there's more motivation when you're on the partner program than versus if you're just an employee because you go to work from, 9
partner
to 6.
program like in the US.
Yeah. The US agents are, to me, they're very hungry because it's feast or famine.
Yeah.
So in the Knightsbridge in the US, we have the top dogs working for us. So there's a lot of motivation amongst each other. And then over here, independent wise or partner wise, sure. But as far as staff goes, it's a little bit over the past few years when I've had that, it's just been a little bit different. So not quite as motivated. So got a really great team in here now, but
That's
definitely left a lot to be desired with some past staff. You got to come to work. Yeah, you got to pick up the phone. Yeah, you got to go. So.
Right. Or else the partner model, you're not getting any money coming in. You have to hustle.
Right.
Instead of just showing up and being like, all right, what do I do? So the director kind of is like responsible to make sure they bring in people who...
Yeah, I mean, the director of any estate agency is basically running their business, right? Yeah. So from everything from bookkeeping to accounting to taxes to, instructions, and you're overseeing everything. I mean, but also I roll up my sleeves and I'll go show property, go list a property, same as I do in the States. So, yeah.
So I don't know the legal aspects here, but someone who was in prison, can they be a real estate agent?
Probably. Yeah, they can.
Really?
I mean, there's not a background check like we have. Wow. So it's not like the US where you go into the federal office and get your fingerprints done and a whole background check run on you. And, if you've done anything or ever been in handcuffs, that you've got to get character witnesses to try to let you sell real estate. It's not like that here. It's if you've been in prison and you're behaving and you do well in your interview, I suppose I would never know, right? So
are they working on is there any talks about creating a process or licensing kind of thing? Or is there anything in the industry that's licensed?
Yeah. So you can RLA and things like that. And you can do courses for, a certain amount of hours, be level 1, 2, 3, 4, things like that, which is part of the lettings side of things. So we do have a couple of people in here that are licensed with that. But
with lending?
Not lending, with letting properties, renting.
Oh, okay. So, really?
Yeah.
You have to be...
So you can do the coursework to be approved, basically, but there's no real background check. So it's not licensing in our scheme of licensing.
Okay. So for a real estate agent, but you said something interesting. Leasing is another animal?
Mm-hmm. So we do all sales and lettings, both.
Okay. So for sales, you don't need a license or
you don't
classes,
need it for anything.
But letting...
you don't have to have it for lettings either. So it's just if you want to be step above the rest, you can do it. But no, you don't have to. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Whew. Wow. Yeah. Very, very interesting.
Yep. And that's why also we have lock boxes, right? Mm-hmm. So our apps on our phones let us have access to, if you're on the Supra system or wherever.
Yeah.
Here, that's why you see 4 or 5 estate agencies with their signs out in front of a house, because, they'll do sole agency for a month or two. And then, if it hasn't sold, then they'll go multiple. So you'll see properties where they've got 10 agents on it, and it's, one office has the keys, or, you're running to that office to get the keys for you. So it's a very different process versus us, where it's like, if I list a home, mm-hmm. you're not allowed to list it. It's a one and done. So,
Yeah. Right, because I mean, you're saying in the U.S.
Yeah.
If I list the house, nobody else can.
Yeah,
But
like
the
I can't
office-
contact your sellers because it's illegal. I mean, I can't go, hey, you shouldn't list with Camille. You should list with me. Can't do that. So
Okay.
in the U.S., here, sure. Hey, I see you're on with, 20 brokers. How about me too?
Wow. Okay.
Oh.
How about commercial?
So in the States, we do commercial at Knightsbridge, but here we're strictly residential.
And to be commercial sales or leasing here, there's no
I don't know
licensing?
too much about commercial, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But as far as States, we have a whole commercial division. So,
Okay.
yeah. I do know, I mean, in obviously leasing a commercial space, it's, there's lawyers involved and searches and things that go on. Unlike in the States where it's the letter of intent, show me that you got the money, sign and you're done. So
Wow.
it's a little more intense. So
Okay. Yeah, I want to go into that more.
yeah.
So we have the director in an agency. Can you have teams like you do in the US?
Sure. I think that works very well, especially with the partner agent program, which is kind of like an independent model, like the States.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think it's great to have a team, you can absolutely more so in a traditional estate agency. I mean, you should be working as a team anyway, but everybody runs their businesses differently. We're very team oriented in here. So everyone's kind of working together on things.
Okay. Mad props to you for opening up an independent brokerage. It's a lot of work involved in doing that. You're not handed systems like, franchises. They hand you systems and say, here you go. Just plug and play. So yeah, it's a lot of work. And you have both. You have the US and here. What's that like?
In the US, very, very blessed to have a couple people in that office who've been with me since day one. So Laura runs the office in the States. I mean, she is just a marketing genius, everything. So would die without her. If you're listening, I would die without you. And then Troy is our managing principal broker, and he's invaluable as well. So I'm not the actual managing principal broker. So in the States, I'm the owner, but also just a realtor, because no one wants to work for a competing managing principal broker, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. So lucky to have them, and they really keep the show running when I'm here.
Wow. Okay. Let's talk about buyers. So what's that like here? Is there buyer contract?
No. So typically buyers will go to each estate agency. They'll get on 3 sites, Rightmove, On the Market, Zoopla, the most popular, and they'll look for properties. Say that you find Drayton Gardens and you want to view that. You're going to contact through the site or call us and we'll arrange a viewing for you.
What
but
are the
then
sites
at the
again?
same time,
there's no Zillow here?
No.
No Realtor.com?
No, but these are similar, Zoopla, Rightmove. But you'll see the same property listed several times. So if it's with other agents, right? Then you got to go to the next agency to see that property if we don't have it instructed and so on. Or you can retain a buyer's agent and pay them typically anywhere from 3% or whatnot of your purchase price. And there's typically a retainer fee with them. So buyer's agency is often nice for people coming from overseas, because if you call us and someone from the buyer's agency side of things says, okay, we'll sign a contract with you. Here's your retained agent fee. And then we'll go coordinate with all of the off market, all of the other estate agencies who are willing to do some sort of a referral and try to get those people set up to see all of these properties with us. But we'll get people who walk in here and say, I want to see this. And then they'll walk down the street to the other agency and say, I want to see that. And then they try to coordinate their entire day. So when I was looking for a property, I had to do that. So just from one to the other.
So these are all your listings on the windows?
Some of them,
people?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. So my other question is there like a database where it has all the agencies' listings? Or like an MLS?
No.
Okay.
No MLS, which I mean, honestly, right now, if they had an MLS, it'd be a bit of a mess because you'd have the same properties listed multiple times, right? And that's not what multiple listing service is supposed to be. So if everybody would just go sole agency with one agency, and then an MLS system would work better. There's a couple where if, an agency's willing to share a commission, they'll go, it's called lawn res, and they'll go on there and post something. But for the most part, not really. It's just we're looking at what the public's looking at on Zoopla or Rightmove. So
okay,
yeah.
So what if someone, a buyer they see a property and they want to buy it? They just call the listing agent.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Unless they just don't want to deal with the searching, they hire someone to be their buyer's agent.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Totally different from the US.
Yeah.
Is there like a posse here, like we have in the US, Association of Realtors?
Oh, no. Not really. No. I mean, we all have to join the property ombudsman, who kind of monitors behavior. Let's just say, like, if you had a serious complaint, so you've registered with them. Same with the information committee. So things like that. But no, there's no National Association of Realtors where we're paying them hundreds of dollars at the end of the year for what?
So no comment. So what happens if there's a bad boy or a bad girl running,
Yeah,
stuff?
I mean, that's where like money laundering and things like that. I mean, there are compliance for that. So if you were obviously caught up in that, that.
What if it's like little things like, telling other agents off or just being
That's
rude
just being rude. That's just that's
no complaints. Like nothing happens.
No, not like you can call the local MLS and say, so-and-so stole my photo from this site, or we actually have our logo on our photos so that they don't get stolen by other agents. And lots of people do that, but
I wish we could do that in the US, but you have to go through all this process to copyright.
If you so much as take one person's photo from an old listing, you get a call. So can't do that in the States, at least.
Yeah. So here, that group takes complaints about other.
But usually it's a bigger complaint. It's not going to be something like, so-and-so didn't call me back.
They stole my clients.
Yeah, nothing like that. No.
They don't care about that. They care about the juicy stuff like money laundering.
Yeah.
Okay. What's marketing like here?
I mean, there's a lot of mail outs. There's a lot of, online social media. Also, obviously paying for these sites that you post the properties on, things like that. So,
what works well, you think? Like,
I think social media obviously works really well. I think we get a lot with local, people walking in, reaching out, finding email or phone numbers and calling people. So it's a little more old school. It's not so much.
In the UK, do you have the Facebook and Instagram?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You have Facebook in here? And Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
What? There's TikTok too.
What? And you do advertisements on them and they're pretty successful?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of like the US.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Facebook ads versus postcards, probably Facebook ads are.
Yeah, I think, because you just get peppered with, at least at my house, I just get constant mail from estate agencies, and so, yeah.
I think it's a waste of money. You're working with a buyer, they want to buy a house. Now you're at the point of, taking a closer look at the house with your buyer. Is there like a repair law, like where they have 10 days to...
No. There's a survey that's done, searches on the property history and things like that. But it's not like us where we hire a home inspector and then we itemize every single thing that's wrong with the house and then submit it to the buyer and say, fix these things or give me a credit. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes you'll have something wrong and you'll have to negotiate a little further, but not in the way that we say the light bulb's out, fix it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So in an offer, do you put... it's still called offer, right? Or letter of
Yeah.
intent.
So here there isn't earnest money, right? So you can put in an offer.
There is no earnest money?
No, you put in the offer. If it gets accepted, somebody can come along and what they say, gazump you. Like you could come along. I've got an offer on £1 million property. You could come along and say, well, I'll do $1,020,000. And I just get booted. So
and you
at the
walk away
same
from
time,
the deal.
I can pull out at any point up to the point where we exchange, which is usually about a 10% deposit the week before you close or complete. So sometimes you can go 3 months on a property and then the week of be like, never mind. There's no repercussion for you as a buyer here.
Does the seller sign something saying, yeah, I agree to sell this to you?
Yeah, but I mean,
Doesn't hold.
No, there's no money like we have in the States where.
So can the seller be like,
seller could also
yours.
change their mind all the way up to the point of exchange. The seller could say, hey, I decided I don't want to sell.
Or I got a better offer.
Yeah.
Or I have like 3 other buyers that I'm signed the contract with.
Mm-hmm.
There's no.
Yeah. There's no real it's not the way that we are in the States where it's so regimented that you've got 10 days to do your inspection. And then you've got, 3 days to put your earnest money in, 10 days to do your inspection. After that earnest money is mine unless it's obviously a bigger deal.
I guess in the offer you can say we need 10 days to do an inspection. We want to make sure
Well, you don't even need to do that here, right? Because you both have attorneys, solicitors, so they're going to be running searches and surveys on the property, and it can take months. So, yeah.
What are major things that go wrong in homes? I guess they're all brick.
I would say like damp, water,
mold.
Yeah, you could have that. Water, damp.
Roof leak.
Not too often. I haven't seen that anyway. But.
What do you guys use for roofs here?
I mean, you can see them over there. It's just kind of typical. There's some shingles on that one. Some of them have tile.
Clay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. Just your standard.
Last longer.
Standard shingle.
So, water damage is like the most.
I would say that's probably what
heating systems.
Yeah, you can see a boiler not working, things like that.
And is it expensive to replace?
I mean, yeah, it depends on the house, right? If you have radiant flooring, that's expensive. So
I guess those are things that like a buyer would want to make sure when they're buying the place. They want to make sure these things are working, or I guess their attorney makes sure that it's working.
I mean, the buyer can go in and check it out. The solicitor, the solicitor is mainly doing searches on the property, right? So making sure in American terms that title's clear, things like that.
But as far as like mechanics and the structure and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can have somebody come in and do a survey on it and see, but...
Oh, survey, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, so now you're working with a seller. You have a listing agreement or...
Terms of business.
And with that listing agreement, you're the only agent that
you'll either have sole agency, which means just you, or multiple agency, which means my company, your company, their company. So,
Okay. Wow. So you can have multiple agencies promoting your, and whoever sells it first wins. What's the commission like if a listing agent's selling to a buyer that's not represented? They get a commission from the buyer too?
No, the sellers are going to pay the commission unless a buyer has retained a buyer's agent. So there isn't dual commission. So it's not like you have your buyer, I have my seller, you're getting 3%, I'm getting 3%. Like in the States, it's going to be just the listing side that's getting a commission. So the listing agent technically is going to represent the buyer as well. So, maybe 1.5%, 2%. Sometimes 2.5, but yeah. Okay.
Can listing agents say to a buyer that's not represented, yeah, I can do the paperwork for you, but 1%
that doesn't exist. I mean, no.
You can't negotiate
So if a buyer walks in and wants to buy this property, then they aren't involved in the commission. We're going to sell the property.
Okay.
So
they're only involved in the commission when they
retain a buyer's agent.
Buyer.
When they've hired a buyer, when they've worked with a division, like the buyer's agency division here, or they've worked with a buyer's agent from another company, then they've got a different contract because who knows what they're going to buy. But for the most part, buyers don't. Yeah, they just come and find the properties they want to see and eventually make an offer, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the U.S. is nervous about. No more buyer agents, just listing.
I mean, I think it depends on where you're at. So we've been our sellers have really recognized that if they want the buyers to come in and view, a lot of these buyers don't have the money to pay a commission, at least in the States. That's what we've seen. I mean, they're already buying down their rates. So a lot of the sellers, I had one client say, well, when I bought, I didn't pay a commission, and now I'm the seller, so it's my turn to pay. Well, that's a nice way to look at it. So far, I mean, knock on wood, but we haven't had too many issues with that.
Huh.
So, but again, it's the choice of the seller if they want to compensate a buyer's agent. So, but it's always been like that. It's just not been in the news, but it's always been like that.
Right. Yeah. And it's a shift for us. So we have to think do things differently now.
See, I don't see where it's, at least I've always gone into a listing and said, you're never obligated to pay the buyer's agent. I mean, most people do. So I don't think a lot of the top agents are going to show homes where they're not getting compensated. So I think that's probably where, I think that whole lawsuit had to do with people saying, we won't show your home, right? I mean, wasn't that kind of what happened? I think so.
I don't know. If you do share your responsibility to...
Yeah. I mean, it's when you list a home in the States, you're going to sign a contract. We're going to openly discuss commission. We're going to openly discuss who's getting paid what, and you're going to sign off on what you agree to with the agent who you hire. So I don't see where, I think the media has made it a huge deal, whereas we're kind of business as usual. So,
well, a lot of agents that have been doing this for like 20 years are used to doing it that way. It's a change of like the way they do things.
There's just a lot more paperwork, I think. That's all I've noticed, really, is a lot more paperwork. And it does feel a little more awkward to make a buyer agree to work with you at first sight. So, but, with the buyer exclusive agreements that we have, that's probably been my biggest change in the States, because either you like me or you don't,
Yeah.
Now you have to like me on paper.
What's the market here? Like, rates are different? Like, what's the market look like here?
So typically your mortgages here are more like a 5-year, and then you refinance and
an ARM.
Yeah. So it's very different. You don't see too many like, we're 30-year fixed at 6% versus, rates went up here as well, but I've seen them anywhere from 1.75 while I've been here up to 5. I've got a friend her mortgage is ending and she's shooting up to 8.
Wow.
So what she needs to do is refinance it to get it back down. So you buy a new mortgage.
Wait a second. It was at 1.5?
I mean, that's, typically where she had started, and then,
wow.
But then she'll buy a new mortgage.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So different, completely different. But the market here it's also like a seller's market turning into a buyer's market?
Gosh, I would say it's a little bit of a buyer's market still. Definitely. Yeah.
Nice.
Slowed down a bit, but it's starting to pick back up.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. I think I asked all the questions that I was curious about. Am I missing anything? It's different from...
No, I don't think so.
Wow. Oof.
Well,
good stuff. I like this.
Thanks. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me and getting interviewed. And this is awesome. I'm going to check out the UK now.
Nice. Have fun.
Thank you.
My agent's got a squad. We all in the zone. In-house help, so they ain't doing it alone. They focus on clients, negotiating win, while the back end's hand 'em, man, that's how we spin. I hand 'em business, watch 'em all climb.